What endorsing body endorsed you?
Royal Society.
Royal Society. Good. Oladapo was endorsed by the Royal Society under Route 4, which is the peer review route. If I had not, done my application, I think if I watch this video and listen to you, I will be able to at least write everything I did, my personal statement, my CV. Wow. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Immigrant Voices and Victories. Wow, season 3 is so powerful. We've got diverse of guests. And you know how, we do it here. It's the season to learn, to connect, and be inspired. And today, you're about to get inspired by a wonderful guest, someone that got global talent visa without PhD, all of you that have been coming to my DM, sending me email, I have master. This is your time to, sit and learn, because we're going to get it all from Oladapo Folarin. We met actually on the Twitter space. If you've not seen that video, go and watch it, when the Nigerians in the UK had a space, and, we had a lot of insights about research and academia. And I'm so excited because I got to meet lots of people on there that night, and so many of them are on our WhatsApp group, including himself, to support as many people as possible. He's also a global talent visa coach. So yeah, we're about to, learn, connect, and be inspired. And if you are new here, kindly subscribe to this YouTube channel, because Immigrant Voices and Victories is about sharing immigrants' journey in the UK and, in fact, in the world. Because as immigrants, we have to, connect. We have to let the world know that we are not just immigrants, we are people with a difference, here to make impact. Welcome on board, Oladapo. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we're going to kick right in. So can you kindly introduce yourself to us? Let us know you.
Okay, my name is Oladapo Folarin. Okay, I'm a researcher. I studied at the University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. I studied crop protection, plant virology option. And I think that was where my interest in the sciences really kickstarted, because not until my final year, my project actually made me fall in love, with the sciences, because I actually worked in the laboratory as a scientist would. So yeah. And after that, I worked a bit in logistics with one of the prominent logistics company for about a year thereabout. And then after that, I found my way back to research, which was with the National Agricultural Council in Nigeria, where I worked. Actually, that was where my career actually started, because I did my compulsory youth service with the same institution for 1 year, and then I made my way back there. And then I had a stint with in seed certification, because that was the agency in charge of seed certification in Nigeria. More like, you can say, also say seed quality assurance, right? So I worked in Delta State for like a year. I was in charge of seed certification in Delta State for a year and a half thereabout. And then I was moved back to the headquarters. And then after that, I did a master's as a full food professional, and then as a full student, no study leave, no nothing. I did a master's at the University of Abuja, also in crop protection, and also focusing on plant biology. Did that in 2018. And then somehow I found myself in the UK for another master's, this time around master's in food security and development. But my research, my project work was still based on plant pathology. So I jokingly usually say I wish I can always combine my 2 masters to become a PhD like, Dr. Yemz.
That's why you had the advantage over some people with global talent, to be honest.
Right now, I work in research. I work with one of the foremost research companies in crop protection space globally. Yeah, so pretty much that's a summary about myself.
So what inspired you actually, to pursue global talent visa?
For me, I would say my case is different. Like I said, I did the first master's. It's a story that will lead up to the question you asked me. I did the first master's, and then I started in 2018, but by 2019, I'd finished my bench work, my lab work, and everything. But the Nigerian system, right? Because officially I didn't graduate until 2021. That was when the graduation was there, but technically I'd finished everything by 2019. So because of this, I was able to use my research, to apply for a lot of grants and fundings and things like that. So, and then 2020 came. I was in the UK for about 3 weeks, sometimes in February. I left the UK and then a few days after the lockdown, started. So coming to the UK opened my eye to what was obtainable. Before now, I've been shooting my applications from about 2019 up until 2021 that I left Nigeria to the UK. I shot a lot of cold emails, over 100, just to be modest, But I didn't get any funded PhD program, but I was being encouraged by sometimes, a professor misses your call and they call back. Professor sees your email, sees your number, they call, they respond to your emails. Even though they are fundings, they, respond or they, signpost you to some of their former students. And, so those were the things that were encouraging me. But I told myself in 2020, okay, maybe if I get into the space, into particular countries, and then I do a program there, it might be easier for me to get a PhD, funded PhD program, because I probably be closer to the PIs and things like that. So coincidentally, this was the time when the UK had reintroduced the post-study. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, worst case scenario, there might be a post-study if you don't get a PhD for you to have more time to look for a PhD program, things like that. And then I told myself, okay, you know what? I'm going to go out of Nigeria for further studies, but I didn't want to replicate what I studied for undergrad and my first master's. I didn't want to work in a laboratory. I'd always been interested in Python, the use of Python for data analysis and things like that. So I said, okay. And then I wanted to understand my background, crop protection, from agriculture generally, from a social science point of view. And that guided the program which I chose. And just to tell you, before we started, we were having a chat. I was telling you, even though it was a period when the Jagbaism was rampant. I didn't leave because of Jagba. I left for studies, for academics. And that was why the school I went for, which was University of Reading, where I finished, was the number one in agriculture in the UK as at 2020, and they were number 6 in the world. So I searched specifically for the best school in agriculture, and that was the only school which I applied to. And then the food security and development, which I studied, I was very specific because I went through the course outlines. So I saw, the courses I would take. So that was actually what I did. But I told myself my research was still going to be in plant pathology. So I was actually strategic, in my choices. And that was what led me. So I applied even before my offer letter came out. And somehow, as God will have it, I'm a researcher. So I research online, everything and anything. I stumbled on Global Talent. But the buzz about the tech is the one that makes the waves. I dived in, I found out that it's open to every background. But unfortunately, there was and that's why I applaud what you're doing, because back then I didn't see one material. Online, YouTube, I scouted everywhere, I scavenged everywhere. I didn't see anything on research and academia. But I read, Go of the UK, I read Royal Society, so I knew it was possible, right? So when I saw that, I read the requirements and I told myself, and that's one thing when we go further in discussion, I told myself, I'm going to get this. This is me. But because I made an application already to a school, I said, you know what? I'm going to also be on my program in the UK to beef up my application. But already I told myself, even without the second master's, this is me. I'm going to get this. So when I told you, I stayed down, that was why I said the story was going to lead up. I was PhD hunting. So I said, okay, you know what? When I get to the UK, after my master's, I'm doing a PhD program. But I'm going to do my PhD program on a global talent visa, not on a student visa. So I was very, very clear on the thing I was going to do. So that was how I, knew about the global talent visa.
Wow. So when you first learned about the, endorsement requirements, did you think it was achievable? Like when you saw the requirements you needed, especially that you knew you didn't have a PhD, Yeah,
remember I said my case is different, right? For me, everything I'd done, it was like God prepared me. Even though I was looking at other countries for PhD programs, I'd never knew about anything global talent under this period. It was like God had prepared me, everything I was doing, both professionally and academically, because all I was doing was research. So many projects professionally where I was working. My master's program, I was also collaborating with my supervisors and other students as well. So I was all in the space of research. I'd published, I think at this time, probably about 5 or 6 papers, some first authored, some co-authored, both professional and academically. So for me, when I read it, I didn't think too much. I just said, this is me. It was like I had everything. I said, how many PhD students had published 5 papers or more? How many PhD students have co-applied or applied personally to get over $1 million grants for project? Yeah. So I didn't think too much about it. I just said, this is me. So it wasn't like, this is big, can I get? No. And that is my personality. And that is also me as a believer. Like, I knew God was going to help me to get this. So like I said, it was like God had prepared me. So it wasn't, my own personal case wasn't a case of difficulty. It was like I had everything already. I just had to put them together the right way to make it so.
I think those experiences, to be honest, what you had could serve as equivalents to a PhD, because writing grants and all of that, not even people in the industry, you know, have some of those opportunities. And wow. So what were the biggest challenges you faced during the application process?
Not to sound proud, but with all humility, I would say I didn't have a challenge. If there's anything I can call a challenge, it would only be that I didn't see any material that could guide me. Because the truth is, if you look online, you look at the Gov the UK or Royal Society or the website, you wouldn't have 100% of the documents you need, everything you need. You need someone who has walked the journey to be able to tell you this is exactly the things you needed, right? So if I can say probably that's the challenge I had. I didn't have someone who was experienced, who got in it. I didn't see materials online. People like you, you know, there was none, you know, when I was applying. So I actually worked with someone who I told the person, this is what I want to do. I'm eligible for this. Just tell me how to put these things together. So I wouldn't say, with all humility, I wouldn't say I really had a challenge.
I also think, you know, with the research and academia, there's not more challenge to it. You know, why I asked that question basically is because I knew you had done your master's here. And I know you, in the research and academia, you used route 4, I guess. And then so the reason why I'm asking that question is because some people face, you know, the challenge of having someone that will recommend them, because with the recommendation, you know, the person recommend you has to be in the UK.
Okay, so if you allow me, this is also another story. I like to say stories. So that's part of always, you know, I like to always go back as well. I said, well, like God prepared me. So at some point in 2014 in my career, one of the projects I worked on was in collaboration with an institution in the UK, which was FERA. You know, one of the lead for the FERA organization, which was working on this project, was based in the UK, because FERA is a UK institution. And that's another thing about networking and keeping in touch. I tell people don't burn bridges, right? I was always in touch with this person. Even after the institution was not part of the project, I already kept in touch to confirm the fact that when I say God prepared me for this journey, when I landed in the UK in September, one of the first persons I called was this contact. And I said, oh, doctor, I'm in the UK for these. Oh, at some point in time, I probably would, you know, come see you at the office and things like that. As God will have it, I touched down with this country September. January the following year, this person, without my knowledge, I saw it in the paper, was invited to the School of Agriculture, where I was having my program in the University of Reading, as a panelist. Just September, October, November, December, January, between 4 to 5 months. And I saw it and I called. I was like, remember I told you, you're coming to my, oh, okay. Well, when I come in, come see me. You know, I saw him, took me for one day, because I'm a very shy person, but I talk when I need to talk. I told him, by this time this year, this is my plan. I will need a letter from you. Please, will you be able to? Well, like, when you're ready, just let me know.
Wow.
And that was how I got my letter.
Wow.
So that's why I said I didn't really face challenges, to the point where, because while even in Nigeria, I was part of, there was a body called Connected Plant Viruses. It was a project run by a professor in the UK, University of Bristol, you know, and one other professor at Newcastle University. I was a member of that body, you know, and got a lot of funding and grants from them. So I was able to write to these people as well, that I'm in the UK, I'm working on this. I wouldn't mind if you can get a letter from me, because they're also very prominent guys in the space. And I also got a letter from them. So I was like, okay, which letter should I use? So that's why I think with all humility, I didn't face any challenge. It was just like God prepared me for this without my knowledge. I was just doing my work in Nigeria, professionally, academically, and came here and everything just together. Yeah. But I understand the challenge people face, because I work with people, you know, I coach people, so I understand the challenge, especially with this letter. I know, you know, the pain it takes to get letters from an eminent person in the UK. It's not easy. It's not like Nigeria. It's easier to get letters from people in Nigeria.
Under the academia and research, we've got Route 1, which is, for research positions, most often than not senior research positions, except for, people that are in innovations and leading those innovation projects. We've got Route 2, which is individual fellowships, Route 3, which is Endorsement UK, right? And then Route 4, which is the route you applied for. Did you ever think of applying for any other routes? Did you think you would have picked?
I was very clear on what I was going to do. I was tempted to, apply for the exceptional talent, but I was like, let me not overshoot my shot, because I was targeting equivalence of a PhD. So I was trying to, let me, be cool-headed. So I was very clear, and I looked at the requirements, the eligibility criteria, and I was like, this is the path. Because those other parts would have needed me probably to look for a job in the UK or to look for funding in the UK and things like that, which I knew might not be easy for me to get. So I was like, what I had already, the peer review would work for me. So that was why I went for. So I didn't bother about the other routes. I just focused on the peer review route.
Wow, awesome. So do you have any specific tips or resources that helped you, gather your evidence for your application? Because it's obvious that you knew what you wanted for a very long time. And it's so important in the global talent visa. It's not one of those visas that you just wake up and you're like, oh, I want to apply for global talent visa. So what are the tips and resources? Especially that you don't have a PhD. Although if we look at your CV, you're on another level.
Tips. So I personally did not use, like I said, I didn't use any tips, but I usually put tips because I pretty much had everything. What I thought, it's a matter of, and that's why I just see one of the favorite part, person of faith. So one of my favorite parts is diligent in his work, right? So I guess that was
stand before kings and not men.
Everything I was doing, even what was in my core, and that was I was able to work on so many projects because I was like, oh, I can do this, I can work on this. So I would say, and also so I would say working on, because we are talking about research and academia, right? Don't shy away from working on research or projects. Even though, like I know the Nigerian thing of, especially if you're working in Nigeria, people always look at the financial gain of things. I'm not all like that, so don't always look at the financial gain. And don't even think of, okay, I'm doing this because I want to do this. So for example, I'm doing this because I want to apply for the global talent. No, just whatever you do, it's for the betterment of yourself. Either now or in the future, it's going to work for you. So I would say try to focus on whatever projects or whatever research that you're doing within your space. And then one key thing, which I've mentioned, for example, I mentioned how I got my recommendation letters, my reference letters, before I mentioned the tip, I got a reference I got letters from, so in Nigeria, you defend your masters, or like your master's is like a PhD. As of right now, I'm still in communication with my external examiner. I'm still in communication with my undergrad supervisor, my first master supervisor, my second master supervisor. I'm still in contact with them. Don't burn bridges. I never knew I would need any of these people for letters, but I was just in communication with them. So by the time I needed letters, it was like, it's not like you need something, and after 3 years, it's getting in touch with her. It was just a conversation. Oh, okay, because I remember I told you I was applying for PhD programs, and some of them requires you getting letters of references from people you with academic. Because I was always getting, so they even most of them thought it was another letter for my PhD application because there's so many of them. I would say don't burn bridges, keep your network. And also for those in research and academia, one very good way to meet people, to enlarge your bank of network is conferences, attend conferences. Right now, because I'm a member of the British Society for Plant Pathology, I'm also a member of the Nigerian version of it. I would attend conferences in the UK as well. I make sure annually, the main conferences annually, I don't miss it. I'm also an ambassador for, the organization here in the UK. If I don't go for any of their conference, I make sure the annual conference where you have over 300, I don't miss it. So that's where you meet people, either where you work, either their meetings, the seminars, their conferences. Try to attend. It might not be easy to get money to attend. It might not be easy to get the fees, but always try. There are also bodies that provide funding for conference and things like that. You can also explore those avenues. Yeah, you can explore those avenues either out. If you're in the UK, you can target attending conference outside the UK. Within the UK, if you're in Nigeria as well, you can target conferences within Nigeria or outside Nigeria. That's how you meet people. So I would say, yeah, networking. I would say, what was the first one I mentioned? Yeah, be diligent in whatever research that you're doing. Yeah. And the other thing is, so one thing that the Global Talent Visa taught me was we undervalue ourselves sometimes. You don't know the gravity or the level of the things you've done in your life. So because it was a time for me to take stock. Every little thing, that you thought this is ordinary. And that's the thing in the UK. They take a small thing and they make it big, look very big. We think it's just normal, it's just a small thing. It's a big thing. So that's another. Try to take stock of every single thing you've done or that you're doing, either professionally or academically. Take stock of those things because these are the kind of things that would help you for the Global Talent Piece. No matter how small that funding is. For that, I was speaking to someone, the person said, it was just 1 million naira. I said, write it down. No matter how small the money is, even if you convert it to British pounds or whatever, you applied for it, you got it, you worked on the project, put it down, write it down, and make sure there's someone that can attest to the fact that this thing. I would say, yeah, those are some of the pointers. Another thing I found out that Nigerians especially, we don't read. We depend so much on a lot of people say, I'm saying, some people will just, take it and, not do their own research. Even if someone is going to help you, try to do your own homework and research. Read about it. If you call yourself a researcher, especially, you would be reading, right? You would be doing literature review and things like that, right? Read about, the sciences, read about things. If you want to apply for the Global Talent Visa, read about it. What does it entail? You might not have an understanding of everything, but you have a very good idea of what you're going into, right? Read, research, look for materials online. And thank God these days there are few materials are coming up online, like what Dr. Yemz is doing. When I was doing mine, it was pretty much it was just technician. I was so annoyed to the point where some people will tell you it's a technician visa. No, that's a fallacy. It is not a technician visa.
Once you type Global Talent Visa on YouTube, everything that comes out is tech. Even solicitors.
Yes.
Everyone. Technician.
Yeah. I guess these are some of the tips off the top of my head right now, I would say. Yeah.
Wow, that's good. So we know we've got 3 documents to submit for the peer review route. You went through route 4, which is the CV, the recommendation letter, and the personal statement. Have you got any tips for personal statements? I know recommendation letter has to be written, but whoever is recommending you. But if you could give tips for how to structure CV and personal statements, that would be great.
I think for a personal statement, it's just you telling your story, from cradle to grave, like they say it. You're not in the grave yet anyway, but cradle to the present, let me put it that way. It's you selling yourself. So I tell people the Global Talent Visa is more difficult because I have experience of applying for PhD programs, right? So I tell people it's like a PhD Pro Max. PhD, you will do interviews, they will see your face. A supervisor might like your face. The Global Talent Visa is just your documents. Nobody knows you. So it is you selling yourself, putting your best foot forward. It's about telling your story. Telling a story, everything must add up. It's not like I did crop protection, then I did business administration in between, then now I'm doing public health, and I'm so what am I selling, right? So that's why, using myself as an example, plant virology, food security and development, still plant pathology, still worked in the seed industry, seed health, and, other things like that. So it was a story that matched together. So I'll say, give a story. It's better even if you can give it, because there's an emotional part to people. Play into their emotions as well. A little bit. They are professionals. Like I said, it makes you just take stock and think. So as a kid growing up, I used to cultivate a garden. I'd forgotten about this. It was when I was writing my personal statement, this was coming to my head. I would tend gardens. I was tomato. There was this long tomato and beans, and my mom would harvest these things, and that is what she would cook. And my dad used to have a rice farm. So we're subsistence living. We're actually feeding on the rice from my dad's farm. It was a normal thing because that wasn't like his job. It was just like he has a big farm and he cultivates rice. We bring it to the house, we dry it in the compound. Thank God we had a big compound. But when I was writing my statement, all these things were just jogging in my head. I'm like, oh, come. So I was telling them as a kid, I used to do this. And that, created the question, the excitement about agriculture, about how does feed farm to fork, how does it work? And this what led me to what I studied in university as an undergrad. Wow. And then I had this knowledge and I was in a quest for more. And what did I do? I went for a master's. And like I said, I wanted to understand the social science part of agriculture. What did I do? I did another master's from security and development, and so all these stories tied together. So if you read something like this, obviously, this person has a natural trajectory, it's a natural journey. It's not concocted. That's the thing. We all have a story to sell. Your personal statement is selling yourself. Don't shortchange yourself, even though the characters are limited. I also applaud my master's program, but not so much, because for my first master's, I was able to publish some papers. So I understood writing to an extent. Studying in the UK also gave me another, more like sharpen my writing skills, because the writing, the master's program in this country, you write. So it helps you to write the major points. Why the number of characters? Because your personal statement, it has a limited number of characters you have to. So try to sell yourself in this space. Your CV as well, don't put jargons. Look for the things that are going to sell you as a researcher. So put in things about the fundings, the scholarships, the grants, monetary values. Put the values, convert if it's in your local currency. Put the values first. Put the research works you've done. Put your publications there. Yeah, so because the CV also is limited, you might not be able to, but when you're applying, when you get on the application platform, there's another space for you to put in as much applications as you have. So if you have so many publications and it's going to extend the length of the CV, you might just put the important one. I usually advise the most recent and the important one, because you're going to be stating the relevance of this project, of this research work. Why was it important? What is the impact? So put all this in first, even before you start putting things about your career or other things, like points, that thing you want to see. I tell people it's not about I was the best in my job. That's not what they want. Then go for it, right? Like the name implies, they are looking for talent. So they don't want to know I worked in social company. They want to see what stands you out. Your volunteer works that links to your research or academic background. So for example, while I did my first master's, I was also teaching undergraduate students, taking all those things, ahead of in your CV. Then you can put the other, I worked here. And when you are describing your work, don't just I understood that when I got here as well. On our CVs, we just write like our duties. In the UK, they want to see what is the impact of what you did.
Yes.
So if you're a salesperson, for example, you're not writing, I was selling phones, I was selling iPhones. No, you sold 50 iPhones. The company was able to get 50,000 from the sale of exact. Those are the things they want to see.
Yeah.
So I'm writing things like, when I was in Delta State, I oversaw, 500 hectares of farm, blah, 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 blah. Specifics. So try to get those specifics. And I tell people, we always need help. Nobody is an island. We're not all perfect. If you need help, there are experts in this that can always help you out. Or you can have, you have people in your family, you have friends that can always help you look at things, tell you add this, remove this and things like that. I would say, pretty much that's how you should put your CV together, then your personal statement. What else? Yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. What endorsing body endorsed you?
Royal Society.
Royal Society. Good. Because, anybody wants to just watch this video and do the application without contacting any of us, as you don't need a coach, you don't need any, you have seen the right video to do your application.
And of course, on your website, you have the details of the Global Talent Visa, so you can always...
Yes. So we're going to be attaching, the gov.uk website and, the Royal Society website for all the information you need. So Oladapo was endorsed by the Royal Society under Route 4, which is the peer review route. So if you want to know more details about peer review, you want to know the route, go and watch all the videos on this channel about the different routes as well. Wow. I think if I had not, done my application, I think if I watch this video and listen to you, I will be able to at least write my personal statement, my CV. Those were very, very wonderful, tips. So how has the Global Talent Visa impacted your life and career in the UK as we begin to wind down?
In my career, I would say that has made me proud.
Awesome. I love it.
on the other side. Yeah. So, I would say it's a thing of prestige. I remember, I traveled, last year and we're coming back and then got to the border and the immigration officer looked at the BRP and she said, "Oh, you're the talent, right?" With a smile, and I like, yes, I'm the talent. that proud moment, right?
Awesome.
Has it influenced or affected my work? Maybe not so much, because I got my visa about the same time as I got my job. So I'd applied, then I got my job, then my visa was out in like a few days or so.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't like I got my job because of my visa. No, like I said, I'm someone who's always very specifically looking for the job I was, even either I had my visa or not. So I wouldn't say it as a, except for, well, within the space of my work, some people know, this is the status I'm on. So that makes them inquire, oh, how did you get this? Or what have you done?
Yeah.
So they want to know more about you. And they're like, they see, your what you've done, and like, oh wow, so you've done this, so yeah.
So would your job have been able to sponsor your visa if you didn't get the Global Talent visa?
When they were selling the job to me, yes, but I was just head bent because I told myself, even if I get a PhD, I wasn't going to get visa.
Yeah.
It would become a global. So for me, it was just one thing. So anybody else taking the job, I wasn't thinking of, oh, I want to sponsorship. No, because for me, after being a permanent resident in this country, what we call ILR, the next best status is a Global Talent visa status.
Yes.
So I was 100%. This is what I want. It's nothing else. And I like to be free. I don't want to be tied to someone. I don't want to dictate my life. You can sack me today and I have 30 days to remain in this country. Look for another.
You have 60 days. The Home Office will write you.
And you have to be doing good boy, so that nobody sacks you. Somebody gives you query. So I like to be free, so I knew like this is the status, I wanted. So
wow, awesome. I know you said you're very proud of your Global Talent visa, but what are you most proud of as an immigrant in the UK? It's still the Global Talent visa or something else? I
think I'll probably say everything, what I've been able to achieve with my family. Yeah, I'm here with my wife, with my son. So I think everything we've been able to achieve, it's for me, it's holistic for me. It's not just one thing. The Global Talent year is one of it because that's why I'm still here. And, I say I'm a free man. Like I can decide to do any job, do anything I want to do, run my business, do whatever I want to do. So, I would say everything I'm so always very grateful for every moment, for everything God has helped me with, so far in this country. Yeah, I love it. I love it every time you say, you're grateful to God for everything. Without God, sometimes you just like everything I've said is not by my power. Like, if you remember, I said it was like God prepared me for this thing. At the end of your thing is still God. There's someone in charge of everything. So yeah. Wow. So what advice would you give to applicants who are aspiring to apply for Global Talent visa, who feel intimidated by the process? What would be your advice? My advice is, you are the only person that can sell yourself. You're the only person that can tell yourself, I guess I can. Like Obama would say, right? Because I told myself, this is me. I didn't wait for anybody to say, oh, No, I can tell you, no, you're not. But you are the one that will tell yourself, even though you are not right now, you're the one that will tell yourself, I'm going to prepare to be this thing, right? So I would say the first assessment is not paying someone or going to someone to assess you. You assess yourself and tell yourself the truth. Am I eligible to apply for the Global Talent visa? If you are, then you can start making your findings. And if you need help, you can contact those that can help you. And also, if you think you're not so sure, you can also contact those that can help you, and they can help you to assess yourself and see. And I can tell people, because I work with people, sometimes some people are not ready now, but they can give themselves a few years, a few months to get ready. Sometimes some people, it's a long period they need to prepare. So I would say the first thing is tell yourself, I can, and then try to work towards it. Read about it. And that's another thing. Make your findings. Even if you're going to contact people for help, know what they're going to help you on. Watch videos like, what Dr. Yemz is doing. Read articles online. There are a lot of people with articles, videos. Go to Real Society, go to the British Academy and find out, okay, which body do you think is going to endorse you at the end of the day? Read about, their requirements and things like that. And like I said, don't fail to network, to speak to people. Not necessarily because you need them, but try to meet them. You never know who you will need or you might not need, or who might even need you. You might decide to run a business or run a company tomorrow. You might need some of these people. Are there any misconceptions about Global Talent visa you like to clear up? It's a technician visa. It's very annoying. It's a technician visa. That's not no offense to technician people though. So. Definitely no offense, but it's very annoying when I read. When I try to comment, let me just comment and tell them, no, it is not a technician visa. It's a Global Talent visa, right? So yeah. And then sometimes, because a lot of people get in touch with me to assist them, and people think it's just a ride in the park. And I tell people, no, it's not a job visa. It entails a lot process. It entails hard work before you can get it. So that's what some people don't understand. They just feel it's just another type of work. So it requires work. It's difficult to get, but not to scare people, not to dissuade you. But yes, the truth is difficult because the process you have to go through. As I said, my case is different because I had everything. I just had to collate them. But, you have to like hunt for those things, and it's difficult to get, but it's achievable. Yeah, so I think those are the two things. Yeah.
Well, it's difficult to get, but it's achievable. And it's not a technician visa. It is global. It is global talent visa.
Even if you're a fashion designer, you can get it. If you're a
Yeah,
musician, you get it.
you can get it. So that's why it's global talent visa. We've got the arts and culture. We've got technician. We have the research and academia. And under these three categories, there are loads of fields under there. Go and watch some of my videos. And wow, it's been a wonderful, wonderful interview today. Thank you so much for all the insights, on this channel. And finally, this is a question that everyone gets to answer on Immigrant Voices and Victories. What is your advice for immigrants in the UK?
My advice is don't let anybody boo-boo you and tell you cannot reach the heights you probably want to reach or you envisage reaching, if you were in your country in the UK. Because a lot of narrative that goes around, and that's where the kind of people the kind of people you talk to matters. There are people that tell you, oh, there's a particular ceiling you can't, go past, and it's a lie. You can always achieve whatever you want to achieve in this country as long as you put effort into it and you ask God to help you out. So, I would say that's it. Tell yourself you can achieve what you want to achieve. Another thing is don't get limited to a particular job and put out your career. I know there are bills to pay. So a lot of people end up with what they can get easily at the moment that can pay the bill. But if that's not what you want to settle with at the end of the day, I would say it might not be easy, or it's not always easy, but not still try to, get on the lane where you want to get to eventually, not to abandon your plans. And for example, I've been mentioning PhD, it's still, even though I'm not doing my PhD now, it's still what I would do. It's just for now I've paused it because I got a job, all that, but I'm still going to do it. So yeah, don't limit yourself. Don't set limitations because I'm an immigrant. You can always achieve whatever you want to achieve. It's coincidental not to delve into politics, but hey, the present head of one of the political parties in the UK president is an immigrant, right?
Yeah, an immigrant different. Yeah.
That shows possibilities. So it's about possibilities. You can't go further than what you picture. If you limit yourself, if you say I can go past it, you won't go past it. But if you tell yourself I'm going to get to space, you might get to the sky. Further try, you keep going and keep going till you get to space. So yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Don't limit yourself. You can do it. Don't let anyone, bobo you. That's a very Nigerian word. It's not in the dictionary, by the way.
Nigerian dictionary.
Nigerian dictionary. Okay. Please tell us the meaning, but those of us that are not Nigerian.
It's more like don't let anyone deceive you.
Yeah, don't let anyone deceive you. It also intimidates, it can mean a lot of things. That's why I love, the slangs that Nigerians create. It means different.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We're so grateful for having you here. He's a global talent. He was endorsed by the Royal Society through the peer review route and has shared his heart with us. Thank you so much. He's also a global talent visa coach. He's been able to help quite a number of people to get a global talent visa. And I'm so excited about this. So you can reach out to him, connect with him on LinkedIn. He's on LinkedIn. He's on Space. He's on everywhere. And, he can always support you. He's got a website as well, which I will add every detail to this thing. And you can reach out to him, to support you for your global talent. And guess what? We're going to bring him back to, one of our global talent visa surgery. So you can ask him question live. This is, just an interview where we are relaxed, just talking about it. So watch out for that space as well.
I'll be a doctor then.
What?
I'll be a doctor then.
I know it's not far. Don't worry. No. It's going to take you 3 years to be a doctor. No, please. We want to get some support soon. But it's been a wonderful interview. If you are new here, please like, share, subscribe to this YouTube channel. And whenever you're watching this video, make up your mind this year to be a global talent. But make sure, like Oladapo said on this, that you need to be ready for it, to be diligent, and don't take for granted, the little opportunities that God bring your way, because you never know what those things, would do for you in the future. So like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode of Immigrant Voices and Victories. Till then, stay connected. God bless you, and no limits. Bye.